Good afternoon. Welcome to Military Strategies. We are live on January 18, 2026. New information. Terrifying from the Iranian regime, and it's that they could be using chemical weapons against the population. This is a complete change of the scenario. The situation is escalating internationally today. The details of Iran's unconventional weapons program, here on Military Strategies. Family, your likes, your comments. Let's begin. Good afternoon, family. Welcome to Military Strategies Live on January 18, 2026. Human beings have incredible abilities, obviously given by God. Some are to create good, and others, unfortunately, to create evil. In the same way that we are capable of creating medicines that can save lives, we are also capable of creating substances that can take them away. And that's how it's been since the First World War. Well, no, actually, since medieval times. Now I'll share a bit about the history of chemical weapons from my limited knowledge, which you already know is always minimal. Since time immemorial, humans have always sought to create dangerous, destructive weapons capable of causing a lot of harm. First of all, before starting this live stream, I want to say for the whole platform and for everyone that all the information we provide is news-level information. That is documentary and historical information, with no intention whatsoever of creating any kind of conflict, nor supporting the use of any kind of weapon or violence. We're simply talking about things that are happening and that we need to know about, because besides, just look at how things are. All of this had already happened in the past in a country called Iraq, where a dictator named Saddam Hussein had used chemical weapons against Iran and also against the Kurdish people. In a very beautiful country called Israel, in the 90s, when people started coming in, sorry, I have to change this Chavismo thing. Telsey is a spy, just so you know. There we are when thank you. During the Gulf War, as Israelis began using shelters, the state handed out gas masks fearing Saddam Hussein would use chemical weapons. This is not something trivial that we're seeing, and in fact, I think it's a pretty likely scenario given the situation we're in right now. Maybe that's partly why the attack wasn't launched the other day. And by the way, in relation to this, some of the substances used to create these weapons have been sent from China, obviously, and from Venezuela too. Some toxins exist and are produced in Venezuela and were sent to Iran, just so you know. Well, if you haven't seen his show from last night, yes, CIA spy, you have to watch it. It's amazing. You have to understand it. So I was saying since ancient times, I don't know if since the medieval era, maybe even since the time of the Romans, the use of chemical weapons, invisible warfare. The world is frightened by nuclear weapons. We have seen, and it's documented, what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. What destruction is capable of doing all the nuclear weapons tests that have taken place is something that humans can see. And so what they can see, does it scare them or does it scare them a lot? You can see the weapon's power and magnitude. What we don't see, but we have also learned about, are chemical and bacteriological weapons. An invisible enemy that you can't see, sometimes you can't even smell it, but it's there. And they are capable of destroying entire cities in a matter of minutes, or in a matter of days or weeks. They are difficult to control. Most of them spread through the air, which increases their lethality. Intercepting them, that is, shooting down a missile carrying chemical or bacteriological material. It's a problem because if it's destroyed at a certain altitude, it turns into an aerosol, and that aerosol spreads over an area. And let's say it's not just dangerous, it's one of the most dangerous things that exists or could exist in this case. Why is all this happening? Here at IDAM today, we have exclusive videos proving these weapons have been or could have been used, and you'll be amazed. Some people reported becoming very sick and dying within days. And it seems that the regime has an arsenal of chemical weapons that's more significant than previously thought. In medieval times, people who were infected with diseases like the plague were taken, all in other types of diseases. Corpses were contaminated and catapulted over the walls of some cities to cause diseases. This has existed since ancient times and has evolved over time. Countries like Russia, China, and the United States have research centers. There's always been a rumor about what happened in 2019 that it could have come from a laboratory. Research and development have always continued, but Iran has remained secretive about sharing this information. Even back in its time, at one point it was said that Iran might have a significant amount of chemical agents. Mustard gas, one of the most well-known. During the First and Second World Wars, chemical weapons were used, chemicals in the trenches. Germany bombarded the trenches with gases. The soldiers in the trenches wore masks that barely let them see and hardly worked, making the experience horrible and lethal. Why? Is it even more lethal than a nuclear weapon? A nuclear weapon destroys everything in an area, while a chemical weapon only destroys life. Any living being there, mainly human beings. It leaves the infrastructure intact, meaning no buildings are destroyed, but the people around end up dying. So it has that added aspect. It's not a destructive weapon for infrastructure, but only for life, unlike nuclear weapons. They've spent years working in secret labs. Now we'll look at the images, and I want to explain this clearly so everyone understands. I know it might be a bit tedious. It's not as action-packed as what we usually see. By the way, who are we seeing here at the end of the video? His name is Mohammad, the father of Iran's ballistic missile program. Everything is connected, including missiles, as the delivery vector. The launch of these types of weapons, both nuclear and unconventional, chemical, bacteriological, and which undoubtedly make up the complete triad of what they're seeking. Iran, chemical and nuclear weapons. Anyway, as I was saying, Iran has laboratories that, according to intelligence sources, have been leaking out. Because, of course, officially acknowledging that Iran has managed to reach chemical weapons capability is a problem for the countries in the region. But unofficially, they know it. They have experimented with nerve agents, which in a matter of minutes are capable of killing a human being. They have experimented with turning into aerosol or being able to deploy a substance that, for example, is very well known right now in the United States of America because it is causing a real human tragedy. It begins with Fenta. I won't say the rest. Why then, if YouTube blocks us, is it being used as a weapon? Look at this.
cuando
Look at this. Look at this. Look, his life was in danger. But the two Mossad spies are arrested in Jordan, and the Jordanian king says to him, "Either you give us the antidote to save Masial, or the two spies will die." And in addition, Sheikh Yassin, the spiritual leader of Hamas, ended up being released. All countries have used and have or usually have some remnants of this kind. Or a chemical weapons research department, Israel also has to have one. Obviously, I'm not going to hide on these topics here. It's normal, it's logical. What have they done now? Iran wants to make these substances far more deadly by releasing them from high above populated areas. And this, of course, in high concentrations or even in small concentrations, can cause a lot of harm. For example, at one time there was a plan studied or discovered that was being developed by Al-Qaeda cells using a substance that I won't name and I won't go into many details either, to be able to contaminate the water supplies of some European countries so that the population, as soon as they drank tap water, would be completely finished. There have always been these investigations. There have always been people who want to do harm. But of course, what we didn't expect was that Iran openly and in a moment of desperation with the protesters would dare to launch a chemical weapons attack against the population, against its own population. No more, no less, against its own people. We're going to watch the video. We're going to start discovering things here. We're going to start analyzing details of what's being discussed, of what's being talked about. There are also some images of snipers wearing nuclear, biological, and chemical suits for bacteriological warfare. And this obviously now has to be escalated at the United Nations. The United States is going to see it. And now we could definitely say that this will more than justify a military intervention against the Ayatollah's regime. While it's true that no weapons of mass destruction were found in Iraq, in the end, this was used and abused. Unfortunately, regimes like Assad's in Syria used them. These weapons were surely transported from Iran and tested in Iran before being used, with Syria as the stage. And I'm going to show the first photo so you can understand this. Let's do it. By the way, everyone, if you're live with us, if you're watching this channel, subscribe. It's worth watching. Today's Sunday, we're discussing some complex topics. Terrifying weapons. First photo. It's the roof of a building, likely official, with many Iranian flags visible. We see two men's silhouettes. I'm going to zoom in. You know we're live. Let's zoom in. There. We can see that there are two sniper rifles. One is aiming. It's a Dragunov type rifle. But they're wearing an orange uniform, completely covered. Normally, snipers are older, but the key is not to be seen. With that uniform, they're easy to spot and their silhouette is clear, so it doesn't make sense. We've never seen snipers wear orange before. We also see the one on the right, possibly in a full suit. We can see the tip of the rifle resting on the wall. And they are equipped with bacteriological warfare gear, protective gear, personnel, of course, People posted and said there were snipers, but what people didn't notice was what clothes the snipers were wearing. I'm going to play a video, November 2022. Will members go too? Pay attention to this. The Iranian regime was deploying a yellowish gas in the streets. Officially something called central nervous system gas. What is that? What is central nervous system? I'll tell you right now, I'm not an expert in this kind of weapon, but I'm going to read to you what central nervous system is, according to what I've been researching. It's not a unique gas, but excess oxygen can cause central nervous system toxicity. It smells faintly of camphor. And what does it cause? Eye and respiratory irritation, nausea, headache, liver and kidney damage, and central nervous system depression. In poisoning cases, avoid inhaling or handling it without protection. It can lead to catastrophic failure. The body in dying is one of the examples. Year 2022. In 2023, the Iranian regime spread nerve agents in girls' schools. In another of the famous crises, it was also used. But let's not go that far. Year 2025. There's a photograph, as I said, and there are videos that just minutes ago, have already started circulating on all social media. The ones that come to explain why so many people have died. There are testimonies.
I'm being very serious. They're there.
We're going to see this. There are testimonies that say that for days afterward, people start to feel bad, they have trouble breathing, they get sick, and they end up dying. Realize this, they end up dying. Take a look at this photo that we're going to see now before we watch the video. It's a street in a city in Iran where you can see some guys riding on a rather strange vehicle. We hadn't seen it until now. It's a kind of container vehicle. Dressed in yellow suits and wearing gas masks.
Thank you.
What are we seeing there? The best way is to watch it on video. You might think it's AI, so let's watch it together. Family? We're live in Military Strategies. Goodbye, January 18, 2026. Could we be facing the graphic evidence that will justify a military intervention to topple the regime in Iran in the coming days? Let's take a look. Here's the video. Let's enlarge it so everyone has a chance to see it clearly recorded. From inside a vehicle, we see the famous van again. What's going to happen there? What's going to take place? Let's see it. There we are seeing them. Some guys in suits, full protection and with masks. We keep seeing them, a troubling icon. Look at the vehicle's door, which has an inverted triangle. They're part of a chemical weapons unit. There we are seeing it. Now we see how people are running away because they have been sprayed with some substance. All right? We're going to see it again. First video of the series we have. Thank you. If it were a water cannon, it would have a huge tank behind it. However, due to the size of the vehicle, we can assume that the capacity for carrying the substance it has is limited to just a few liters. Basically, it's the size of a pickup, a truck, so people understand. Notice that it has some equipment. If it were, for example, pepper spray, or for example, a tear gas substance, they would only need to carry or would need a gas mask. But the fact that they're wearing full body protective gear gives this a different dimension. In what sense? Well, now we can start to identify that the substance they're using, pay attention to this, the substance that Iran could be using also fluctuates. In this case, it's airborne, but also through skin contact. Is this nuclear, biological, and chemical suit being used to cover the entire body, not just the respiratory tract? So we could think that contact with the skin can also harm the person. Right now, a well-known case is coming to my mind. I'm going to try to look it up. Also, you've probably seen this. A recent case. The dictator's brother. Of North Korea. At Kuala Lumpur Airport. Was infected with a substance and ended up dying. Look. So you realize this. Let's take a look. We're here downloading the video. Of course, what happened there just came to my mind. In fact, the brother of Kim Jong-un, was carrying in his backpack. Was carrying an antidote in his backpack. Here you see the images. That's the brother. We see him walking through airport security cameras. On the right, looking at the counter to see the window or place to board. And you'll see what happens. Some people are approaching and they cover his face. It's not very clear, but you can see how they cover his face and the girl disappears. In theory. North Korean agents. North Korean agents hired two girls for a television prank involving a liquid they believed was water to smear it on the faces of several people. They did it as a street prank for days until they had to do it to Kim Jong-un's brother. That time the toxin was real. Should I tell you the name? And the question is, why did they infect us? Why? And pay attention. With this, they coated the girl's hands with a kind of protective layer. that didn't allow the body to absorb that substance. I trust. Amazing. All right. Let's go to another video from Iran, and this one is even scarier. We've seen the first video where there are suspicions about this matter. Now let's watch the video that just a few minutes ago was all over social media and that we bring here exclusively for military strategies. Family, we're live right now, please. Your likes, your comments, super important. What's happening and what's next are both important. Let's get to it. Look at the vehicles on the right. All facing right. Pay close attention. What are we seeing here? Some tanks to transport a substance or liquid. Look there. Green color. Then we see that in front there are vehicles with cannons to spray. Do you see it there? And all of this belongs to what seems to be a unit. Iranian military unit. How? They're already wearing masks? Goodbye. Vehicles that are too new. The Toyota pickups are too new. This might be an elite unit. Look, we've never seen these trucks before. People are now asking themselves what they are. It's normal for them to wonder. Naturally, people wonder, what is that? Could we be again? Facing another piece of evidence that the regime is using chemical weapons? It's also said those vehicles then take the bodies away. You don't realize it, do you? Don't you realize it? More news happening in the region. Are you amazed by this? Right now in the region, F-15 planes brought from the United States of America would be arriving, which means we could suspect that preparations are being made for the launch of the attack against Iran. Israel's Air Force has about 300 operational aircraft. That's very good for such a small country, but it's necessary. Fewer. The initial attacks. What could we be talking about? I'll move my camera so you can see it. We put that watermark there because, as always, they like to steal our content. We're talking about in a first wave 5,100 Jadam bombs, 50 to 100 spice bunker busters, 30-60 Rampage missiles. These are air-launched ballistic missiles, and between 20 and 40 precision missiles or anti-radar missiles. Different munitions for very specific targets. We're talking about 300 munitions launched in the first wave. That's a lot. Adding that to what the United States could launch in a first wave, we could be looking at easily over 1,500 munitions in a first wave against the regime of Iran. I think I'm underestimating. If we add B-52, B-1, B-2 planes and everything that's going on right now, we could see it. Are there more F-15E deployments from the United Kingdom base to Jordan? According to the latest last-minute movements, F-15 planes are being taken to Jordan, to King Hussein Air Base, which is, by the way, right next to southern Israel, on the border with Jordan. We have a photograph of all this aircraft transport and how it has been happening. We'll show it here. The United States of America is transporting bomber planes, fighter bombers, F-15S, to the region. This is the news. This. Aircraft from Wing 48 and the Air Refueling Center have been deployed this morning to the Middle East. The call signs of these aircraft are Oro 2221, 12, and 11, 4 KC-135s. Based in the United Kingdom, they have been transporting 12 F-15 aircraft to the air base in Jordan. An attack is going to be launched. The Iranian regime will be attacked. It must be done for the good of humanity. Then we'll go somewhere else. Where's the aircraft carrier? With the whole strike group coming behind, which we've already been finding out about, plus they're bringing an impressive number of destroyers. Here we see it. Strait of Malacca, Singapore. The aircraft carrier would be 5 days away from reaching the Persian Gulf. 5 days. Thank you. Think it over. If I were you, starting next week, I'd ask for a vacation to watch what's going to happen in the Middle East. But also, in addition to this, on top of that, the head of Mossad is currently in the United States of America. Barnea is there. According to estimates, the United States ship Abraham Lincoln will enter attack range of Iran on January 23rd. January 23rd. Could it already be within attack range? Yeah. The blessed aircraft carrier. And what does it carry? Because of course, it's not a normal aircraft carrier. It's not the Gerald Ford. But it carries planes Gerald Ford doesn't. You might ask, why doesn't it carry F-18S?
Sure.
The plane, what does the Lincoln carry? Are they F-35 planes?
Bingo.
Yes, that's what you're hearing. It carries a fleet of low-signature planes. We already know this. Why is that? In Venezuela, F-18S and F-35S have been used. Here, there are F-35S, F-18S, F-15S, and A-10S available. Start taking notes. Start taking note of the type of weapons that are going to be used in this attack, because that's how we realize the magnitude. It carries F-18 and F-35 planes. There are also the Growlers, the F-18G, the ones that disable radars and could take Maduro out one of these nights. The aircraft carrier is surely traveling with a submarine, both for protection and attack, and we know there was already a submarine in the area of operations. Now a second one will arrive. Aircraft carriers never usually move in scenarios like these without an escort submarine for anti-submarine warfare. So we're putting the pieces and numbers together. We'll see it here. Look. We have a photograph. Breaking news. How many ships are with the aircraft carrier? Ready? Lincoln is accompanied by at least 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. The configuration for this mission in that sector will be for attack, but also for anti-air defense. We're already adding up. We're already adding up. More. We've known since the time of Venezuela, more or less. How many missiles can a destroyer carry? We'll have to see if the Ticonderoga-class missile launchers will be added. An Arleigh Burke with the Mark 41 vertical launch system can carry between 90 and 96. In addition to anti-ship missiles, the configurations are varied. It can be half for anti-air defense to provide security to the aircraft carrier or set up for attack capability. What can we find? Because now people, of course, are going to ask where the aircraft carrier will be positioned, which is another thing. There are 2 important topics here, 2 that we need to look at in detail. Why? The aircraft carrier can't get closer to a distance where Iran could hit it with its missiles? What are we referring to? Compared in terms of anti-ship ballistic missile strike capability, Iran can reach up to 1,800 kilometers. What scenario does this present to us? Well, let's take a look. If we take as a reference the southernmost areas of Iran below Bandar Abbas, The aircraft carrier may be positioned along a 1,800-kilometer line,
Metros.
or in the middle of the Arabian Sea, or something he did long ago in the Gulf of Oman area. Around this area here, Jen. Another possible location could be near Socotra Island. Obviously, the aircraft carrier is not going to enter the Persian Gulf. It's not going to be in here. A large-scale drone, anti-ship, and ballistic missile attack. You don't put an aircraft carrier in there. Besides, it doesn't need to. Why? From the aircraft carrier's position, say, in the middle of the Arabian Sea, right here, the planes take off, quickly refuel in flight over the Oman area, and from here they cross into Iran to launch the attack. Aircraft carrier, what is its actual function? The role it serves there is to be used as a takeoff, landing, and logistics area, bringing air capabilities close to the area of operations without entering the area of operations. The main weight of the operation would come with in-flight refueling over this area in Iraq, as we already saw Israel do at the time. To refuel in flight across this sector, to get within firing range and launch munitions over the horizon. That is, over the horizon. In the first phase, weaken the anti-air defenses, eliminate all medium or long-range anti-air capabilities. That way we can enter with B-52 and F-15 planes. To launch JDAM munitions over Tehran, over different areas, Hamadan, Kermashan, and start attacking important locations of the Revolutionary Guard regime. And the launchers, the B-Valley launchers, the missiles, the bunkers, shut down their capability, all these places. How long can each phase last? If we add Israel's capability to that of the United States, Iran's air defenses, which would be reduced in a matter of hours. In an hour and a half, most of the radars could practically be destroyed. Then only the mobile anti-aircraft weapons would remain. More aviation. And obviously what Iran is going to do is move its air force to the east of the country. Be careful, we might be surprised. The United States could come in from behind, could cross Iran's airspace from the south, enter Afghanistan, and attack from the rear, which could also really surprise the regime. It's not all set in stone, not everything is written, there are options. But really, on a military level, there's not that much to worry about. The only thing to worry about is this: chemical weapons. Uranium mounted on the warheads of ballistic missiles. It's a possible scenario. It's a scenario that could happen. We shouldn't rule it out, but it's clear. The capabilities of the F-35S suppressing anti-air defenses, the F-18S, the F-15S with anti-radar missiles. Will they leave Tehran more isolated than ever? Afterwards would come, as I said, a phase of several days of destroying the regime's bases, intelligence centers, factories, and so on. And in the meantime, during that period, they will be taking down public images of the regime to force a surrender. This could include the much-awaited elimination of the Ayatollah, which many people desire. Would that be the crown, the blackjack of the operation? And who could do it? Who could and would want to take the trophy? Israel. Given all the harm caused by the Ayatollah and the regime, Israel might want to claim that trophy for history. Of modern warfare,
Of war. Espero que os haya gustado este directo.
of war, See you later here on Military Strategies. Best regards.